Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise! I hope you guys are ready. It is playoff time.
After all the hours, the weeks, the months, it's time. The journey to the grand finals rolls on.
I'm going all the way, and I'm going, yeah, my blood is rebel. I'm going all the way, I'm going to another level.
Oh, what is this?
That is brutal.
This guy is an absolute maniac.
This is absolutely insane. And the rock stars of the Overwatch League continue to crank out power chords. Oh, snipe.
You got rocked.
It's the playoffs, baby. So strap in as only the best of the best remain.
I'm going all the way, I'm going, yeah, my blood is rebel.
We know it won't be easy to hold that trophy, to wear that crown, but if you want it, come and get it.
What's up, playoff Overwatch fans? It's the weekend, baby, and we are live in Los Angeles for the 2019 Overwatch League postseason. Today, we'll begin our losers bracket with two winner-go-home matchups. The Seoul Dynasty looked great in their win over the Charge in our play-in tournament, but dropped a tough match to the number 1 seeded Titans on Thursday. The number 8 seeded Dynasty will face number 4 today. The Hangzhou Spark lost a 7-map battle with the LA Gladiators on Thursday, and the Spark need to earn their way back into the top 6 with a win tonight. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Watchpoint Pre-Show presented by State Farm. I'm your host, Chris Puckett. I missed you guys, but I got my whole crew with me. They've been watching all the games, breaking it down for you. We've got Sully, Brent, Sideshow, and the playoffs. They have been incredible so far, and many would say unpredictable up to this point.
I would certainly say so, because I've got all of my predictions wrong so far. So literally unpredictable for me.
But this is where it gets serious, because we're in the lower bracket for the first time. Teams are starting to get eliminated in the playoffs presented by Xfinity, and it's going to get real very, very quickly.
I like that plug, Brent. You're killing the show already. So are you fired up for today?
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to see some good games, and it's all starting right now. You never know what to expect when it comes to Overwatch playoffs, but you can count on this. We'll take a unique look at the San Francisco Shock's truly impressive season, complete with some classic fireside Uberisms. Yeah, you're going to love it. Plus, the Shock are still picking their jaws up off the floor after the loss to the Rain last night. We'll hear from Sinatra and Choi Hoban about how that felt. And there is no shortage of debatable moments this week. We'll hash them out the only way we know how. It's attack or defend, and it returns tonight. Here is our losers bracket, and I'm not misspeaking, folks. These teams are actually in our elimination bracket right now. We've got the Seoul Dynasty facing the Hangzhou Spark. Then the team all of us picked to win it all, the Shock, will play the 2018 Grand Finals champion, London Spitfire. And the loser, well, they're done for the season tonight. London got handled by the NYXL yesterday, while the San Francisco Shock C9 their way to a stunning 7-map loss to Atlanta. The Shock 4-0'd the Spitfire in their only match this season, but that was way back in Stage 3, and it's crazy to think that one of these teams is eliminated tonight. So let's start here with London. So what's their best chance of moving on?
Well, first of all, I want London to, answer some questions. We saw some interesting lineup changes in their last game yesterday, and that was Guard coming in for Birdring. Now, Birdring performed just fine on his Doomfist. Yeah. We didn't know what to expect when he came in on that hero, but he held his own. He looked great. Guard, now, looking at the numbers, it's not like he completely fell off. It's not his fault that London Spitfire lost. It wasn't his performance, but overall, the team looked shaky. They didn't look put together. And it raises a lot of questions when we're looking at the maps played this season. We see 102 to 35 for Guard, so that's 67 more on Birdring's side. Why you now, in such an important match, why you now switching out such a crucial player? That's just a big question. Like, no idea where this is coming from. We're probably never going to see an answer to that one either. And we don't know what we're seeing from them today. Now, another thing I want to just throw out there is, did London maybe already show us all their cards? They've played the most maps so far in the entire playoffs. That includes the play-ins. Is that maybe a little bit too much? They couldn't really hide any strats anymore because those games were all very crucial for them, so they had to give it their best shot. Now, Shock only really played one series, So they might still have some aces up in their sleeves. We only really seen one comp from them. So maybe London is kind of running out of steam. Not much time to prepare from yesterday to today.
For the London Spitfire guys, though, it almost seems like a parallel to last year. Last year, they lost one match at the beginning of the postseason playoffs and then went on a 6-match win streak after that, only dropping 2 maps the entire time to take the finals. And that, I mean, it's the kind of run that might never, ever come to happen again. But if it was going to happen, the London Spitfire know they're capable of it, and they're playing against the San Francisco Shock, another team that might be capable of it as well. In this match, you would normally favor the Shock, though. They are the team that, if you were going to say any team was going to make a loser's bracket run, it would be the San Francisco Shock. They just look really, really powerful. My question mark for them, though, is the manner in which they lost yesterday was so crazy. Look at this. The C9, they were going to win that fight. Look at Moth's face.
Oh, no.
That is the kind of travesty that sticks with you, that gut feeling that you find it so difficult to get over. That was yesterday. They have had one night's sleep to be able to rally themselves and get back on that horse and start winning in the lower bracket. That's so hard. If they can't mentally reset, we could see Shock go out today.
Well, I will say, I do like the parallels you've drawn for the London Spitfire, at least the run they made last year. And it was actually a small change they made. They took out Closer, they put in Nuss, and they went on that big spree all the way into the grand finals. Now, I want to see San Francisco Shock actually do something similar here today. I want to see Super back in the lineup as an individual, because this is a player who has played with the majority of this roster for the longest time this season. He's been with them thick and thin, and he's been there for the playoff scenarios. They've lost together, they've won together in these high-pressure scenarios, where Smurf is just coming in later. Now, he may be better in that sort of environment. That's probably what they've dictated from the scrim results, from their practice together, but Super brings something that Smurf doesn't have, and that is that experience on stage, and not to mention the experience playing with players like Sinatra, like Choi Hyobin, like Moth, the players we're going to be seeing up on that stage today. So I think it's a change that they could make, and it might be the one they need.
Bring the hype man. I like that call, Brian. Well, whatever happens today, there's a reason 4Genius analyst and Bren took the Shock to win the grand finals in our brackets. San Francisco rose to prominence this season behind a versatile and incredibly talented roster, great coaching, and good old-fashioned perseverance. It's the perfect tale for our favorite Aussie to tell in this edition of Master Path Theater.
Hello again, old friend. I'm Mitch Leslie. Tonight, you're going to hear a story of youthful promise and potential realized. It's a coming-of-age tale about patience and humble beginnings, about a slow rise from the doldrums of normality to the precipice of greatness. And, if we're lucky, you may just feel the flutter of joy in your cold, lifeless heart. This is the journey of the San Francisco Shock. Our story begins in the ancient annals of the Overwatch League's inaugural season, when a young Shock team patiently awaited the birthdays of 2 of its biggest stars. But Super and Sinatra's accession into the team had little impact in 2018, and they putted along to a sub-500 record.
For whatever reason, when push comes to shove, the Shock tend to collapse.
You got to never underestimate the power of San Francisco Shock to lose a game, I think.
But then, a new season was born, and with it came a fresh wave of optimism for the boys from San Fran.
You can't say San Fran. People from there get really mad about it for some reason.
What about Frisco?
Even worse.
SF?
Just say San Francisco.
I would say the whole thing every time. Okay. Anyway, San Francisco's hopes for success were through the roof as the 2019 season began.
San Francisco, man, if you're not a fan now, get on board for Season 2 because this team gets better and better. I am stunned.
The only thing better than dreaming big dreams is realizing those dreams. After an inconspicuous first stage, the Shock reached the Stage 1 finals to face the powerful Vancouver Titans.
Who's going to do it tomorrow, Hex? This is going to be so big. It's just an unstoppable force versus an unstoppable force.
This may be the Pacific Division rivalry that we all should be looking towards as this season goes on.
What would ensue between the Shock and Titans will long be touted as one of the greatest matches the league has ever seen.
Just one more map.
Just finish it.
In the end, though, the Shock fell short and headed back to the drawing board for stage 2. When they revealed their masterpiece, it was perfection.
San Francisco Shock looking about as dominant as you can.
That's just a stomp. What do you say about that?
Yeah.
San Francisco lost not one single map en route to a golden perfect stage and avenged their loss to Vancouver to claim the stage 2 crown.
And the Shock have done it! They are your stage 2 champions!
The sweet croons of their MVP Sinatra and the boastful, still distinctly boyish, voice of their main tank Super led the team to win 19 of their final 21 regular season matches. Even with the birth of a new meta in stage 4, like moths to a flame, the Shock continued to swarm every opponent, mercilessly beating them to a pulp. Dormant star players re-emerged from their ingeniously crafted bench, and the Shock stood tall as the only top team not to struggle when the roles became locked. They enter the postseason as the 3rd seed, but only cosmetically, as these young men are currently the most feared team in the land. Will the Shock's versatility and composure catapult them to Grand Finals champions? Or will they the bed somehow? The throne awaits, young kings of San Francisco, but you must claim it for yourself.
The Shock aren't the only Grand Finals hopefuls with their backs against the wall. The Seoul Dynasty have the weight of an entire nation's expectations on their backs. Can the Dynasty survive against the Hangzhou Spark? We'll tell you next on the Watchpoint pre-show. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. The Seoul Dynasty and Hangzhou Spark lost hard-fought battles on Thursday to find themselves here, facing each other in an elimination match. These teams played something of a winner-go-home match back in Stage 2 when the Spark beat Seoul to claim the final stage playoff spot. But today, the stakes are so much higher. With their seasons on the line, what do the Spark need to do to survive?
Well, I have to scold them a little bit here. All right, you ready for this? Here it comes. I'm not impressed with their DPS players. I think their damage dealers kind of dropped the ball. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's right. No, I think they just generally dropped the ball. I don't think Bazzi looked as comfortable on the Doomfist. He kind of warmed up towards the end of the series, but overall, he did just not look as good as literally every other Doomfist we have in the league right now. Godspeed on the Reaper, also not really standing out here. I love him on the Widowmaker, and we did see a little bit of that. And then there was the Adora issue there as well. They swapped Adora in for Godspeed, and we all expected him to maybe pick up a Pharah or something like that. Instead, they just played him on the Reaper as well, and it looked even worse than when Godspeed was on that hero. So overall, their damage dealing duo needs to step it up.
Yeah, I think they're in a lot of trouble, and I completely agree, actually, with you, Zoe. I don't think Bazzi had a particularly great game. I think he might have an even worse one today, because he's up against Marvel in terms of the Sigma player today, And when he was up against Void, it wasn't too bad because Void is a player that likes to play these off angles, doesn't really play a defensive play style. When he's playing Sigma more often than not, he's trying to get these picks, he's trying to play off around the corners to get a lot of kills, a lot of damage in. Not really playing defensively with his rock. Marvel, on the other hand, is the complete opposite of that in a lot of ways, and he uses his accretion ability to sort of peel for the rest of his team to try and set up a lot of the kills for his team, which means that Bazzi's going to have a very tough time with it. If he tries to dive into the backline like he was against Gladiators, I think he's going to get shut down even harder than he was in that match previously, which is very worrying as well, because like you said, Zoe, Bazzi's not comfortable on that role, and if he's playing against a team that's going to be punishing him, this could mean very bad news right now for the Hangzhou Spark.
Josh, you were very high on the Seoul Dynasty after they beat the Guangzhou Charge, but then they went on to lose to the Vancouver Titans. What do you think the Dynasty can learn from the loss against the #1 seed?
Well, I don't think it was a particularly bad loss as well, and the Titans do look really strong. But one play that I was puzzled as to why his play style had changed so much was Fitz. When he played against the Vancouver Titans, he was trying to go very aggressive, always taking the first move, using his cooldowns to get in very aggressive positions. That's so easy to punish. If you're using your punch to initiate, and then you're also using your other abilities to not just instantly retreat, that doesn't really end up working, and he wasn't finding any success. Now, when he played against the Charge, though, he was basically just trying to shut down the Doomfist on the other side. He was really just trying to go for Eileen, always keeping track of the cooldowns and trying to punch second. And that's what I love. That's the playstyle that I think works really well for Fitz. He's not some flashy superstar on the Doomfist, but if he plays intelligently and is in the right place at the right time, then he can have a huge impact. So that's the style that I would like him to revert back to, more of a defensive counter-punching style.
Got it. Losing in the playoffs is rough, but losing the way San Francisco did last night can be absolutely devastating. Less than 24 hours after the C9 heard around the world, Sinatra and Choi Hobin will tell us how they plan to shake it off next on the Watchpoint Preshow, presented by State Farm.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
And by Omen, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Poco trying to get that finish on him, and he does. Drops him down. Accretion on Coma. Poco gets the finish. This is looking good for Philly now. Here it is, though. Thrown up, but they've already lost two. Deflect from Ichiwo. That might is what saves Philly here. It gets in. Dio eventually removes him, though. Staying charged up now. There are plenty of barriers for him to keep that beam on. Carpe tries to step up. He gets hosed out by Dio. Oh, this is all sorts of wrong.
The escape. There's the escape.
Right on through, right on the top. Hotma splattered flat. Now Eileen's gone as well. Rio's not going to be run long either. Fitz on a murderous tear. Wiping him out.
Oh, finally some huge value from Hotma. Does get a couple onto the point, and that might just save it for Guangzhou.
Unreal. And of course it's Hotma, Hex. Of course it's Hotma.
Jack of all trades.
Exactly. He's
master of most.
Back safely. The Capture's under pressure now. Finished off. Prophet takes the out of the sky. It drops down. He nearly finds Coma. He's still chasing. He's in the back line. Prophet's on a tracer, and he is wrecking your team.
Master is removed. Poco supercharges. No! Are you kidding me? What did you see? What? They walked off the cards. No way.
I don't think we underestimated them. I think we just didn't really play like we did in scrims. We just, I don't know. It wasn't the same. I think we adapted a little too late, like to understanding like how they were playing, and we were not clutch in some situations, like Horizon first. We should have definitely won that map, and we should have definitely won Rialto at the end, but yeah.
저희가 한 경기만 지면 탈락되는 상황인데 사실 저는 저희 팀이 굉장히 강하다고 생각해서 제가 조금 더 경험을 좀 쌓고 저 자신에게 막 좀 기준을 좀 세우면은 저희 팀이 엄청 더 강해져서 그랜드 파이널 우승까지 할 수 있다고 생각합니다.
Choi Hobin is embracing the new Hero Sigma in these playoffs, and he's got the accretion kills to prove it. As you can see, he ranks second there, but has some work to do in some of the other major categories if he wants to help the Shock stave off elimination. That brings us to the most intense debate segment in all of esports pregame shows about Overwatch. It's Attack or Defend. And we begin the night with the newest hero Sigma. Since the introduction of Mr. All Rocks No Socks, the Flux Tank has a usage rate of almost 90%, the highest in the postseason across all heroes. So the point is, Sigma is the most important hero in these playoffs. So Attack or Defend it?
No, I'm gonna attack that one. I do think that since we have the roll log, yes, you can have a great performance on one hero, but if the rest doesn't pull their weight, then there is no use to it. Yeah, if you have a Marvel in your team, awesome, fantastic Sigma. But if your DPS are not getting the damage done, if your healers drop like flies, if your other tank, if your Orisa doesn't use the shield correctly or doesn't have good halts, then you still can only get so much done.
I used to hold that opinion, but not anymore after I've seen the play of some of these teams. I think a lot of teams can get by with average Doomfist players, with average Reaper players, because sometimes you can luck into kills. What you can't luck into is a good Sigma player. A good Sigma player is going to be setting up your team, playing defensively, hitting the rocks. If your player doesn't know how to play Sigma, you are lost in this meta right now, and you're just doomed to be defeated at the end of the day.
Point to Brent. Next up, the San Francisco Shock have been in third place most of this season, but a second playoff loss today would end their grand finals bid and their season tonight. Given their talent and our expectations for them, the point is a loss today would make the Shock season a failure. Sideshow, attack or defend?
Definitely going to defend that point. The expectations for the San Francisco Shock was so high. They've been the best team of 2019 in every stage final. They came in expecting to win. If they go 0-2 and are immediately eliminated from playoffs, this year has been a disaster for them.
Okay, well, way to overreact. Honestly, I think they had such a fantastic performance, such a good run. And I don't think that just because they flopped it in the playoffs, that makes them a complete failure. I think that's completely unfair. I think that just happens in this kind of scenario where sometimes you have a bad day. And unfortunately, this is in the playoffs.
Those bad days can't be in the playoffs.
Yeah, you have a bad day on the desk. We're not firing you.
I've never had a bad day.
Okay, well, let's take a look at your bracket.
You didn't show up for all of stage one.
That's true.
We did try and fire him. We did. We failed. Back to our new hero, Sigma. Among the abilities in his awesome kit is Accretion, where he gathers debris and flings it at enemies to do damage. After a couple weeks of hearing that icky noise, Accretion, I think it's time for a name change of this ability. Bren, attack or defend?
I am going to defend this point, Bucket, because I completely agree with you. It is an icky name. Accretion. It sounds like secretion. You know what else secretes, Josh? Toads. Are toads good animals? Have you ever had a toad as a pet? They don't make good pets, mate. They're very slimy.
You sound like somebody that only wants to speak in one-syllable sentences. You're, oh, I like rock. No. You need to listen to your science classes.
Is that how you win arguments?
He summons the lint out of his toes, fashions it into a ball.
Yeah.
That's accretion.
When were you? Are you a time traveler from the 1800s? Who the hell uses accretion as a word anymore?
1610, first use of accretion.
60.
It's a tie. It's a tie. You're on the desk. There is no attack in this next clip, though, because it's one of the most delightful things that we've ever seen. This is from a fan named Hariki, and it's a beautiful rendition of our Overwatch theme song. Oh, we can do better than that.
I don't think so.
All right, our musical talent will continue to shine throughout the playoffs, but for some of the league's biggest stars, today is the end of the line. I had to kill it, guys. I'm sorry, Brett. We'll tell you who's moving on and who's heading back to Spawn. That's all coming up next right here on the Watchpoint Pre-Show, presented by State Farm. Support your team with the official Overwatch League Coca-Cola bottles at CokeStore.com. Ships to all 50 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. P.O. boxes. Before we get to our predictions, we've been showing you our fully filled out playoff brackets this week. And in the interest of time, we can only show you the most successful bracket today. Oh, and guess what? It's me, nerds. That's right, the only one to correctly pick the NYXL. I mean, don't worry about what happened there with the shock. I had him going the whole way. But it's going to get interesting today. We still got the losers bracket. It's alive. You guys are way behind in the brackets, but today you can make some right picks. Where you going? It looks like everybody's on the Soul Train, and San Francisco as well. This is going to be incredible. Which match is closer, Seoul Dynasty or London versus San Francisco?
I think we all
Seoul
think it's
Spark.
going to be the first one, actually.
Yeah, Seoul, Hangzhou, most likely. I mean, the team's probably going to be matching their play styles quite effectively. London, I'm expecting to just roll over and just die.
It's been nothing but Game 7s, Games 8s. We got 2 great matches coming your way. Let us know who wins in the chat. That was your Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm.